You are now listening to the ANR Design Unholstered podcast with Alex Costa. Hey guys, this is episode 25 of the ANR Design Unholstered podcast. Today's guest is PSR, Print, Shoot, Repeat. Guys probably have got hip the reel, dunking in that Chick-fil-A sauce on the not machine gun, 3D printed lower. This gentleman has blown up on YouTube, fucking killing it. I mean, we're stuck at like 20K. So, you know what? Kudos to you, sir. So we're going to learn a little bit about what brought him into... you're not even fucking gun industry. You're just like your own vibe. You're your own fucking mythical creature that you've created. And we love the anonymity. We love the persona. You know, my wife was watching some videos tonight and she's like, is he Asian? Is he Slavic? I was like, no, he's definitely probably a white boy. But I can't answer that question because I've never seen you. So, and you probably won't tell us. You're this mythical creature. But she listened to your accents and she loved the gold member one. So, dude, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you fucking, whatever. Fuck.
Thank you so much, man. All that praise. I feel honored. And it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. I go by Print, Shoot, Repeat. I've got a YouTube channel where I post primarily videos on 3D printing and guns and a lot of silly stuff, making music along the way and having fun, poking fun at some of the kind of funny aspects of, I guess, the gun industry or whatever, or just guns in general and having fun rather than getting too serious about it. Obviously, you know, there's a time for serious stuff too, but I generally keep it on the lighthearted end of things. But, you know, because it's a lot of people that aren't into guns think 3D printed guns are, you know, absolutely horrifying. So maybe one of the secondary missions in making this YouTube channel was to kind of like warm people up to maybe the idea that it's just also can be a fun hobby that you do and have fun, you know, exercising your right to build a gun, which is a lot of fun. If you've never built a gun before, you know, 3D printing, that counts as building a gun. Absolutely. So, I would suggest anyone who's kind of curious about it, definitely check it out, whether it's my channel or a number of other creators on YouTube and other places. Now, YouTube's being a little bit more strict when it comes to the content that you're allowed to put out on YouTube, which is unfortunate. So a lot of creators have kind of had their channels reach reduced a bit, but there's other places you can watch that content now. But thus is the world we live in with Instagram and YouTube and censorship of, you know, ideas that are scary to some people. So that is me.
That is you. You know, a quick thought just crossed my mind talking about YouTube, right? Your videos are funny. You write your own music. You write your own lyrics. They're great. Is there a workaround? Is there any chance of a workaround on YouTube to sing instructional videos where the lyrics are 100% guiding someone through a process, but the facade is music?
That's an interesting idea. I guess I hadn't really thought of that in that way, like a direct, literal kind of song about how to build a gun or how to print a gun. It's a good idea. I haven't done that. You know, I've been thinking though, because I do have an artist page on YouTube now that I'm not sure if that adds some element of protection when it comes to my account getting strikes and stuff, because it's like I'm now a music account. So I'm on like YouTube Music and it says like next to my name on the comments, whenever I comment on someone's page, it has a little note on it. So that I'm like a music channel. So I think if anything, that probably works in my favor. And what you alluded to, maybe that would be a solution of some kind. I'm a little bit scared to try it though, because I already got a strike. But you know, maybe we'll have to take it there at some point.
as long as maybe your hooks are instructional, but the main verse is something repetitive or whatever. But man, that would be kind of fucking cool. If you do enough jump cuts in the video where it's your persona versus something printing or building or whatever, you can break it up enough that, you know, some fucking snot-nosed person who might identify as something different, who hates these scary things, would be like, oh, this beat's kind of fucking vibing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's kind of, yeah, like I said, the goal is to not necessarily preach to the folks that already love it, but to kind of introduce some new folks that maybe don't have the right ideas about it, or they've lacked kind of some kind of someone reaching out to them in whatever way that is. And if I can reach out to them and say, hey, like, check this out, then that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm on the same page too. I'm part of a Facebook group called Pink Pistols, and this is not like a fucking virtue signaling bullshit. I grew up on Cape Cod. There's a huge gay community near me. When I was growing up, knew
nice.
You know, gay dudes that carried guns, and my mom worked in like a resort, like a timeshare resort, as LGBT specific, and I never had any issues. I'd go to P-Town with my girlfriend and my mom. I was underage. My mom buy me a case of beer, and I'd go to fucking drag shows and get in, knowing people that knew people, and got to drink, get served, never got fucking molested or hit on or whatever. But anyway, I fucking signed up my company for Pink Pistols, which is like the LGBT community for like gun ownership. And it's on Facebook, and I sometimes help them out with some shit, some wardrobes or whatever. These are people that are just like, yo, fuck the government. Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I shouldn't have a gun. Like, and it doesn't matter who they are. If they want to exercise their rights, they should. And and a lot of people, the knowledge base for it sucks. Like, there's not enough people like yourself. I looked up a bunch of other 3D print creators. But again, it's just not getting the visibility that it should. You guys should all be building guns. Everyone should. I have an FFL SOT. I like machine guns. I like dumb shit. But you guys should all be building guns, especially with the new ruling on 80%ers. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, it's unfortunate that went through. And I would prefer none of that bullshit regulation to occur, obviously. But if you're going to start, now's a better time than ever because of the unfortunate restrictions that have been put in place by this ATF.
I'm happy it happened. Here's why.
Okay.
After the Bruin, so we have a blog on our website. We have a lawyer that writes for us, that just started writing for us. So he just wrote his opinion of the Bruin decision. I am so stoked that after the Bruin decision and what happened in New York, that the governor in New York just put an ammo ban, that you have to have social media, verification before buying it. No, this is all great. Everyone's like, oh my God, this sucks. This is horrible, whatever. No, it's great because the Supreme Court has already ruled that these restrictions are unconstitutional. So what's going to happen is all these states and the government, the feds, fuck Biden, whatever, they're all going to fucking come out and they're swinging for the fences with these new bills. But all of these are going to lawsuits. Every single one of these new rulings, especially in New York, that just got the Bruin decision passed in favor of concealed carry, they're all going to be sued. So it's going to suck for a year for ammo for New York. But they're going to lose. And every time they fucking lose and the Supreme Court weighs in on it and it goes all the way up there, because it'll go all the way to Supreme Court. Every time it loses, it's stacking the deck in the Second Amendment favor. So it's like, okay, guys, it sucks for now. Hopefully you stockpile fucking ammo for the past 2 years during COVID, like everyone else should have fucking done to protect themselves, their family, their freedoms, their opinions, whatever. But now this has happened, fucking sit on your ammo for a bit. It's going to get overturned by the Supreme Court. The only good thing that Trump did, right? So and is stacking the Supreme Court, and now that's all going to get overturned in a year because it takes time for government to do shit. But I'm like, yo, every fucking state that wants to do anti-gun legislation after the Bruin decision, let them fucking do dumb shit because it's all going to be flipped. And then every single one of these cases that is some, the state versus some entity getting sued is going to be flipped in the favor of the Second Amendment. And they're just fortifying it. They have no fucking idea that every one of these laws is just going to be another brick in the fucking wall. And everyone's panicked and everything. It's like, no, write your legislators. I know there's a lot of people like, fuck, don't write your no, write your legislators. Write everyone that should be voting, because it's like, it's ultimately going to hit the Supreme Court. And with the people that are currently in those seats, it's going to get overturned, and it's just going to keep stacking the deck. So let it happen and write your Supreme Court leaders your opinion on it, and it's going to protect it for the long run. Bruin was the greatest thing to happen in the last 100 years for the Second Amendment. And because of that, they're going to try to make so much shit evil. But at the end of the day, that one decision has stacked the deck. Let all this bullshit happen. Don't do dumb shit. Don't make the community look shitty by doing something stupid. Let it go to court. Let it get pushed through. Let it get defended. And then it becomes law forever, and fucking whoever is president can't touch it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. And yeah, it's important to remember that when one of these things happens, and then we see the, assault weapons ban, which it won't pass, but when you see that pass in the House and stuff, it's a little depressing. But then you realize, okay, yeah, we've got that Bruin decision, and that's going to go a long way into helping solidify the Second Amendment as it should be always have been. It just shouldn't have been infringed upon, but it's been infringed upon with all of these bogus, state laws and stuff, but and federal ones. But hey, like I said, now's a better time than ever to get into 3D printing, even if it's not guns. It's an amazing technology, and it's really not as expensive as anyone who's listening to this podcast thinks it is. It's not even, you can get an entry level 3D printer for as low as $160. So you're talking, I mean, if you're in the context of guns, I mean, that's like the price of a high point, right? For the price of a high point, C9, not even the cheapest one they make, you can get into making infinite amounts of guns yourself. And obviously these guns need parts like metal barrels and guide rods and things like that, and slides sometimes. And sometimes they need less stuff than more than others times. But for the most part, you don't have to go and deal with telling the government, hey, I did this. Now I'm on this list, and now I'm, permanently in this FFL's list. And it's great if you just don't want to be messed with, and you just want to do this and not have to ask permission, which we shouldn't have to ask permission. It's still illegal if you are prohibited from owning a firearm. It's still illegal to make one. And do you think those people are going to stop that are prohibited from making, like they're already going to be committing crimes, unfortunately. The people that are going to do bad, and the people that are going to be doing good and having fun and learning and putting together things and engineering things shouldn't be penalized because of the actions of a small group of people who decide to break the law and hurt people and cause harm. So that's my take on it. So it's never been a better time. And yes, it's a small learning curve, but it's really not as hard as you think it is. And there are some good resources to check out if you're looking for guidance on the topic. And yeah.
And we suggest that people check out your YouTube channel to find these resources.
Yeah, so I would say actually the best place, if you're trying to get into learning about 3D printing, this is how I got into it. I would say if you want to learn, if you want to be entertained and see what some of these creations can do, you can check out my channel. Check out my YouTube channel if you want to see like examples of how they shoot, want some humor and some funny, silly songs about them and stuff. That's kind of what I do. But I am not a designer of the files, and that's a very important distinction that I always try to make whenever I am in any public space. And I say this in every video, like this specific file or design was made by so and so, and usually it's not their government name; it's like a pseudonym for just anonymity purposes and wanting to be, have their corner of their persona be private, which is and some people aren't private. So there's all sorts of designers in the community that have gotten involved in making these funky, crazy, cool, weird meme, everything in between guns. And they're guns that you make in your living room with not that, with like the simplest plastic that's pretty easy to print. And it's very durable for the method in which it's being made. And a lot of misconceptions around the durability of 3D printed guns. And there was a debate for a while, and now that debate is shifting to, oh, like these are a huge problem and terrifying, and before it was kind of like, oh, they break after one shot. But now the shift is kind of starting to see the shift between that and now, oh, now it's like there was an article in CNN today about how dangerous the 3D printed auto sears are, and the switches on Glocks and stuff. I mean, that's another way 3D printing has changed the whole firearms world in a sense, for better or for worse, I suppose. But they're very, very illegal items to do with unless you have like a SOT like you do and stuff. But does that mean it's going to stop people from doing them? No, it's not. So I would say before you check out my channel, and if you want just strictly information, I would recommend going to theguide.controlpew.com. Control Pew is a creator who I first got into watching and checking out when I first got into this hobby and got into this world. I didn't know anything. I'm not a technically savvy guy, to be honest. My dad was a woodworker and still is. He's an incredible carpenter, but I never picked up that skill. And I just thought maybe I never will build stuff, and that's okay. I mean, I just build other things in different ways, whatnot, use that skill. But actually doing this kind of connected me with like, okay, that's, I'm really into this in the same way that my dad is into carpentry and stuff. So I think it's really quite easy for your average layman. That's what the goal of a lot of these designers' philosophy is, that they want to make it as easy as possible for anyone to just go pick up this guide, this PDF file, and read the whole README and the PDF and the instructions, and then go put their print in their CAD software in the slicer, slice the file and plug it into their printer, the SD card, and then hit print. And that is how easy it can be. And I would say Control Pew, theguide.controlpew.com is the best way to do that. And there you will find everything you need in terms of resources as to like what printer to get. And he's a great creator that I greatly respect, and I owe a lot to him, and just kind of getting me into the hobby and getting me started. And you can find the links to the files there too. They're on Odyssey. The files can be found on Odyssey. That is where they're primarily hosted. There are beta groups in this Rocket Chat, which is like a chat hosting site. It's called Deterrence Dispensed. It's called chat.deterrencedispensed.com. That's chat.deterrencedispensed.com. And there you will be able to have access. You can ask for access to beta testing. So in order to release publicly a file for a 3D printed gun, there's a process generally from these groups. So there's like a couple of different groups that are operating in the space. And sometimes in the past, it was just one, and then they had a little beef, as you can imagine, drama happened, and then that turned into two groups, and they kind of started competing. And now there's more like 3 or 4 groups separately. So it's really growing very fast in just the time that I've been in, which hasn't been that long. It's only been not even 2 years since I've been doing this. So I think What I would recommend is if you're just completely new to this, I would start printing and get yourself the printer. Don't print any like things that are going to take any load bearing like explosions or anything like that. Start off with like a calibration print just to make sure your printer's working and everything's good. You can find my settings video is on Odyssey. I had to take it off of YouTube, but it's on Odyssey. So Odyssey is a great platform that's an alternative to YouTube. It's my favorite as far as just the alternative social media. Like it's my favorite because it not only hosts videos, but it hosts files. So you can directly download from that from Odyssey. Not only videos and watch my videos, but the files are there as well. Not on my page, but on the catalog. So the catalog is where you go to find your 3D printed designs. And those are designs that have been tested rigorously, thousands of rounds, usually each one. And, multiple beta testers testing them, making sure they work through any flaws that happen. And there's all sorts of different designs. There's ones that are based on already existing designs where you take a parts kit, for example, like the Beretta 92, you wanted to 3D print a frame for one, or let's say even more common, like a Glock 19. That's really the most common, right? So if you wanted to 3D print a Glock 19, you would go down there, download the file, and then you would, after calibrating your printer and feeling confident that your printer settings were all right, you would go and put that into a slicer, which is what I use is called Cura. And then you would slice the file, which just basically turns it into a G-code file, which is what the printer reads. So that's the language that the printer reads. And then you go plug in that SD card into the printer, and then you make sure it's at the right temperature, and then you press print. And hopefully, if you did everything right with your settings, which, like I said, you can check out my settings video. I have two. They're both on Odyssey. Then you can get to a good space. And then, it usually takes, if you're going to print a Glock 19, maybe 13 to 17 hours, depending on the size. If you're printing a Glock 26 or a Glock 43, probably maybe like 12. And you don't take it off the printer and then boom, go shoot it. You got to do some work, obviously, because it's just printing the frame, which in the case of the Glock 19 is the firearm. Doesn't mean you have to, you could print a P320 grip module and, it's the same, essentially the same thing, but
not a firearm. Yeah.
Not a firearm. Exactly. But it's still, that doesn't mean that it's not fun and cool too. I'm actually in the middle of trying to print I just got the P365X macro, like a typical, just like big fanboy, and it just came out. I actually have a P320, but that's actually the second SIG I've gotten. I don't have that many SIGs, but I liked it because I just thought it was kind of stupid when it came out. But then I held it in the store and I was like, man, this is awesome. It feels great in my hand, and it's pretty thin and easy to conceal. So I got that, but now I'm kind of wanting to see what it's like if I print a grip module for it. So there is a grip module that my buddy designed. So I'm going to try that out. But the possibilities are absolutely endless with 3D printing, even just from basic functional items that help you just make life easier, whether it's just like an organizing thing or just that little part in your old car that you can't order anymore, or, anything, toys for your kids. Obviously that's like what most people think about is like these little like miniatures when they think about 3D printing, or you could print an MP5 like me. So yeah, you get lots of options.
Yeah, and people forget how easy it is to get parts, right? So parts are not regulated by the feds. Brownells, Midway USA, you can buy all of your components. There's so many aftermarket sides for things.
Yep.
This is America, right? We don't have, if you've ever bought like a CZ or an Austrian Glock, everything, right? You see the serializing on the frame, slide, and barrel. In Europe, the laws are that each one of those components is a serialized component, and they're all considered firearms. So if you buy a barrel that's serialized, it's a gun right over there. So, but we have I forget the company out of Florida that does like everyone's U.S. barrels, but you have US barrels for so many different companies. You have aftermarket slides for so many different companies. And then the supporting components you can buy anywhere, right? So, and we just hope that the government never says, "Oh fuck, you can't sell those parts." But at the end of the day, if you own the gun already, or you bought a gun private sale, and hopefully you have a bill of sale in case it's a hot gun, you know, you can always bring those parts to a machine shop. Oh, this is part of my little small engine from 1920, and they'll cut you your parts. And it's not that expensive, you know, depending on the part. If it's a Swiss screw machine part, it might suck. It might be expensive, but there's never ending reason why you can't build your own firearm. And it's 100% legal in the United States to build your own firearm for personal use. You cannot sell that to someone else. A non-serialized firearm is illegal to sell to someone else, but you do have the legal right to build your own firearm. And
as long as you didn't intend to build it to sell it, you can actually serialize it and then sell it later on if you decide you want to get rid of it.
Yes, you can do this as well. But not recommended.
Not recommended, no.
Because fuck the ATF. But long story short, you can do that. Yes. So my whole thing that I did like a reel a while ago that went really fucking viral. Didn't realize how viral it get. People are afraid of getting FFLs. Mm-hmm. Okay. And FFLs is the ATF. Okay, everyone's scared of the ATF. Really not that big of a deal getting your FFL. It's $150 for an 07 manufacturing license every 3 years, I think. I don't even remember. I just get my notification. But I think I've only renewed twice. And SOT to build machine guns is $500 a year, depending on how big your company is. I have now scaled up. So, and it's based on your principal business. So our FFL is registered to our holster company, and our holster company makes more than X amount of dollars. So I do pay more money for my SOT, but they're all for personal testing. So I don't have to apply for ITAR, even though ITAR says if you build machine guns, you have to register for it. But we don't distribute those to commerce, including law enforcement. We've done law enforcement demos, but it's for personal testing use only because we make optic mounts, slings, whatever, holsters. And you can register a fucking FFL to a storage unit.
That's crazy.
As long as you have even if it's not commercially zoned. Our shop is within whatever 1,500 feet from a school, you know, and then we're like, well, we're a manufacturing facility. We don't sell NFA, but we make NFA. They're like, oh, whatever, fuck it. Like the ATF just cares about paperwork. Yeah. And like, at least in New Hampshire, there's 3 ATF field agents for all of New Hampshire. I have a friend in the north that went 25 fucking years without an audit. He had to rent a fucking Connex container to fill it with the files of all the transfers. And they came and picked them all up because after 2 years, they're technically not like usable, but they still retain those copies. And then they put them to, you know, what, 8 film or whatever the fuck they're using. And they put them on film and they fucking archive them. The ATF headquarters in West Virginia has a parking lot dedicated to Connex containers of files because they have to keep the physical files.
Wow.
And they're allowed to transfer them to was it type 8 film or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, I'm old but young, but old, I forget. Anyway, they have so many fucking file boxes in the hallways that the load bearing hallways are at max capacity. So they just have boxes of shit in the hallways. Like they're I forget who did a documentary on it, but you can literally in West Virginia where the ATF headquarters are, they just have boxes of shit in the hallways of people's files. They're not secure. They're just sitting there in the hallway, and they've already loaded the hallways to the load bearing load for those hallways so it doesn't collapse into the basement. So they're now occupying a parking lot, and they're not allowed to digitize handwritten files. So, but they're allowed to put them to film. So they're in this process of putting them on film on those classic, like, you know, librarian projectors where you can rotate and go fucking newspaper by newspaper. Oh, sick. I found the file. Like that's the ATF. That's literally the fucking ATF. People don't get it. At least this is firearms ATF, not tobacco or alcohol. Or explosives. So this is just like basic ass firearms bullshit. And the ATF, for me, a lot of people will complain, I would rather deal with the ATF any day than the IRS. Yeah. ATF for me, I got a wellness check being a COVID. My field agent got relocated. I liked my field agent. I thought it was cool as fuck. He was like, yo, this is a job, okay? Like, guns are fucking rad. And this is New Hampshire. The vibe in New Hampshire is like, fucking everyone should own a gun. And I think it's like 50% of the population owns guns in here in New Hampshire. And everyone's like, oh my God, you voted fucking liberal. New Hampshire's a liberal state. Like, we're actually the freest state in the entire country.
Yeah.
So I got issued a new field agent, and she called. She's like, you're probably not going to call me back. And I called her back, and she was cool as fuck. She's just like, yo, I'm just making sure you're okay. You're not sick, COVID, whatever. And I was like, look, we don't have a retail site. We don't sell guns to the public. Everything's internal. And she's like, oh, cool. A couple months later, I gave her a call. I was like, hey, how are you doing? Right? And I'm generally like, I do care about everyone that I have to have a business relationship with. I want everyone to be happy and healthy and whatever. And she was like, oh my God, I've never had a call from one of our fucking people. And she's like, that's really cool of you. And I was like, yo, you're just a person. You're dealing with all this shit just like all of us. Like, how are you doing? And she appreciated that. Like, if you just treat and there are super cunty fucking psychopath fucking got a hard on for ruining people's lives fucking field agents. But at least in New Hampshire, like, our experience with the 3 field agents we have to talk to, including the one that retired that helped moved our FFL, they don't give a flying fuck. It's a job. They're a government worker. They want to go home at the end of the day to their family. They're not the door kicker. And even the fucking door kickers. I'm friends with the OG door kicker, and he's like, we don't actually know what we door kick for. They just give us an assignment and we go and fucking hit a door. Like, we're not told what they're doing. We don't know if they're manipulating data. We don't know if they're manipulating files. We don't, like, they just say, bad dude, get this, whatever, right? Which sucks. It's sad that you don't know what you're doing. And I guess the same could be said for any government entity, Navy SEALs, CAG, whatever. They're given a mission. You got to go fucking snuff this dude. And then you find out after he's a dirt farmer with an AK. Like, whatever. Yeah. That's the government for you. Fuck them.
Also what you sign up for, too, at the same time.
I mean, one of our staff just joined the Army. And I was like, yo, bro, you think Joe Biden's a better boss than me? And he's like, oh, fuck, I didn't even think of it like that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, his whole family legacy is fucking Army or whatever. And he's fallen, and you can get some of that parental trauma. Not trauma. Maybe Talon doesn't have trauma. I love Talon. He's a fucking good dude. And we're going to miss him. He's grown so much working for us, and he's one of our best fucking people. But he's joined the Army, and I was just like, Talon, you fucking Joe Biden's your boss now, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bud. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I grew up in Vermont, man. I know the
in Vermont?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it's not as bad as you might think.
No, I'm in New Hampshire, dude. We're like the same.
Right. Yeah, we're 69ing.
Just we are. I'm the bottom. Fuck. I'm sure I could tell from the light coming. Oh, that might be another monitor, but I would say, are you still East Coast?
Yeah, I'm still East Coast. I have a light. I have like a softbox here that's giving me the light.
That's what it is. At first, when we first hopped on before we started recording, I thought it was a window, but the way it's a very natural light softbox. But
yeah, oh, thank you.
So I thought it was a window at first. Yeah. So no, Vermont. Yeah, Vermont's cool. I got into UVM on a full ride, and
you went to UVM.
No, I didn't. I got in. I ended up going to UNH Durham because they had the new engineering building. I didn't go to UVM. I had a buddy at UVM, and he's like, "Oh, I'm fucking stoned all the time," and I was like, "Yo, that's rad," but
all right,
you're failing because all you do is smoke weed all the time, and that. Not saying anything bad with that.
Mad at Vermont. That's all that you need to know.
Yeah, it's Vermont. It's Vermont. Like if you're not tripping on mushrooms on the weekends and smoking weed before class, you're not living in
Yeah.
Vermont.
Yeah. That's
Um,
yeah. I grew up there, so I had to get the fuck out as soon as I was 18, and I did, but I'm not there anymore. But I was actually just up there yesterday, and I flew to the current location, which is in the southern part of the U.S. But I love Vermont. I love going back. It's a beautiful state, especially this time of year.
every time of year, dude. You can't beat Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire.
Yeah, New England. I'm a New England boy. I will always be one. I do consider that my home, and I grew up hiking the Presidential Mountain Range and the Appalachian Trail, and I love outdoors. So it's a great place for that. And New Hampshire just as much, if not more.
You guys, the part that I like about Vermont is you guys left the pastures, right? Most of New Hampshire, right, is forest, but
Yeah.
it's new forest. People don't realize that. So I live on a state park in New Hampshire, and I'm an ATV, hit the trails, and it's just all those you remember, or you know all those short little stone walls everywhere that were old wagon trails between farms. How the fuck did early settlers clear that much timber manually? Because that New Hampshire once looked like all pastures. Like where I live, there's no old forest. And I look at it, I'm like, okay, like these trees are 100 years old, but they could have been older. And where I live, all the landmarks near me within 2 miles are fucking funeral plots. And they're like 1860s, 1820s, but all the trees are only 80, tops 80, 70 years old. And those motherfuckers fucking clear cut everything.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was their like daily job before they had cattle and sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy fuck. And Vermont still has that essence. You have those rolling green hills. Green Mountain Boys still exist. By the way, fuck the government. Those boys still exist and practice long gun and operations all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so you said anti-gun growing up, but
Yeah. I mean, well, my dad went to college at a military college, and he wasn't really necessarily there by choice. It was kind of like he kind of got put there, and as a result of whatever, his high school days, and so he kind of grew to hate that machine of kind of military and that hierarchy, and didn't he didn't like the kind of machismo of it, and I think that kind of informed his dislike for gun culture. And so I was very much held away from that, and my mom kind of just like was indifferent to it, but she kind of went along with my dad, and my dad was very against guns, and I like couldn't have, I wasn't allowed to have like Nerf guns. Like,
wow.
not even a Nerf gun. I wasn't allowed to have airsoft for sure. Like toy guns, cap guns, no violent video games, all that.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, as I got older, they realized that they couldn't really, like at a certain point, this was probably until I was, 13, 14. And then, you can't really stop a kid after that from getting a violent video game, going over to play Grand Theft Auto at my buddy's house, or going to shoot airsoft guns at my buddy's place. It's like that they kind of let go of. And it's interesting now because like my dad's kind of done a 180 a bit, not to the point where he's like, oh, I'm out and going and shooting with him, but he's like totally cool with it and knows about the whole channel and supports me. And if anything, like my mom is like still freaked out about it, but it's okay. We're getting into some personal things, but now my parents, well, they're not married anymore, but my dad is like much more okay with it. And is really totally fine and like supports me, and he got a kick out of the HK slap video, and I like explaining things to him because I'm really into like the technical, he loves building things. He's building a house right now. He's 63 and he's building his own fucking house by himself.
Okay.
um,
He's 30 years older.
yeah.
My dad's 30 years older than me, so
Now I'm 33. So yeah,
I can cut this.
no, it's okay. Okay. I don't care. I mean, people. I like to think that age is more based on like your embodiment of your grasp of life, and like I've
to a degree for sure.
And I think you can still have fun and have young energy while retaining some old wisdom and some experiences that have shaped you and helped you learn. But I'd say yeah, my dad, watching him build this house and then having conversations about, hey, like I built this gun and this is how it works. This is how the MP5 delayed blowback, or how roller delay works or whatever it is, and he gets into that. So it's kind of cool to see him change his perspective a bit and kind of do some open. He's still open-minded, and I think he's also realized, I'm fully an adult, been adult for a while, so
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, that's kind of like how I grew up. Was kind of very anti-gun, and but I think I don't know if I would have changed.
It's his age, though. I mean, he was born in the 50s. He had to go through that whole cultural revolution. See, my dad was the tinker. My mom was anti-gun growing up, but I had cap guns and all this shit. My dad had a antiquities FFL because he was an antique dealer on the side because my mom wasn't working and my dad's salary wasn't making the cut. So my dad would do like yard sales and shit. And if you ever come across a gun, an antique revolver or cap and ball or whatever, he would acquire those and flip them. But very similar, like. I shot in Boy Scouts. That was the extent of it. And my neighbor that I illegally worked for as a landscaper taught me how to shoot. My parents let me go fucking shoot Sean. He's a cool ass dude. He's gonna watch this podcast.
Right.
But same deal though. My dad was a tinker. He taught me robotics when I was a kid. He's a PhD marine biologist for the state of Massachusetts. I'm from Mass. I'm from Cape. I'm a fucking boat. Okay. I'm a boat kid.
My parents. For a number of years, for like most of my life, they're just really old now, so they moved off, but they lived on Nantucket, so I always went down to the Cape.
Oh, cool, dude. Nantucket's like its own fucking world.
I know. It's a little over the top. But I did spend a lot of time in the Cape too.
Dude, Nantucket's cool as fuck. It's cool for like a weekend. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, the cobblestone roads going to Stop and Shop sucks, but
yeah.
It very similar. My mom was a hippie. Like, hey, let's go to see Led Zeppelin. Robert Plant's opening for fucking Dreamland, The Who, whatever. Like, I grew up in the whole classic rock phase. And my mom has an Easy 380. My dad has an FN 509 tactical and a shotgun. Like when they, what's going on? Like they know I do a lot of mill work. They're like, oh, what's going on the mill side? I'm like, well, this is COVID's not that real. But this economic event is coming and you might want a gun, right? So and we have some vendors in Massachusetts, so my parents went there and got hooked up and whatnot. But kind of same vibe. Like I went to Boy Scouts, shot 22, but like we're like cut similar cloth, a little bit different, a little not that different. So you identify as an artist, right? You're not engineer, but you're an artist, music, whatever. Same deal, dude. I went to all the art portfolio reviews to all the local art schools, and I was like, this sucks. Like I'd go up there and I had like hyper realism graphite or charcoal or watercolor or I did multimedia, graphic arts, cartooning, whatever the fuck it was. And I go to like a portfolio review and there'd be this gentleman in front of me, another student who peg hooked over sewing needles and then vomited bile mixed with paint and was like, this is my pain of my shit. And you're just like, and these fucking professors would soak that shit up like it's sucking up a straw. And then they get to mine, they're like, oh, wow, you're so technical and you're so good at shading and realism. And this photo of this animal looks like a carbon copy, but where's the emotion? And you're just like, I don't care. Like, I want to draw what I want to draw. Like, I don't want to do some fucking abstract emotional, bullshit. Like, that's just not, like, I'm not into that. But can you just give me an honest review of, like, my shit? And I got a couple scholarships for art, but I was so fucking turned off to that shit. And I went to Wentworth in Boston for a portfolio review for architecture. I was like, okay, maybe architecture. They're like, 5-year university. And then you have to be like literally the most creative human being ever to ever have your own identity in architecture. And then I listened to this like talk from this girl. She had 5 years of architecture. I wanted to start a pistol. And I had enough credits with mechanical engineering I could transfer over. And I ended up going to school for mechanical engineering. And I was like, oh my God, everything is fucking mechanical engineering. Like literally everything you touch in life is mechanical engineering, and everything around you is art. And looking at that way, and that's kind of how I transitioned into this role. But dude, it's cool. Fellow New Englander, the grind, the vibe. And dude, parents here, if they weren't brought up around guns, they are so fucking terrified.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, yeah.
Poor immigrant kids that don't have access to firearms. My dad's first gen, my mom's second gen, and they just didn't have guns. They just worked and had big families, and it wasn't a part of that life.
Yeah, that's interesting because states like Vermont, I don't know about the demographics in New Hampshire, but I'm pretty sure it's very similar. But like Maine and Vermont are two of the least diverse as far as like ethnicities go states in the whole country. And it's interesting. There's a lot of really heavy virtue signaling. And it's like, we really care about these social issues that are happening throughout the rest of the country, but
they don't. It's a judging thing. They're afraid of their neighbors and their friends judging them.
Vermont is as strange it is, as liberal as it is in certain areas. It's quite, it can feel, I can't imagine being like someone that was like not white and trying to exist in Vermont. It's a freaky place if you're not white, I think, dude. Just because it's like all of these people that are like white liberals that are like virtue signaling, and they're like, we care, like, and just like showing. And then it's like, when it comes to like, okay, well, what about if this like group of like this immigrant group or this minority group moves into your backyard, then they're like, whoa, wait, I actually don't care that much. Like, or actually maybe they can move next door, or like maybe they can move like a few miles away.
They're closeted racists. Yes. Dude. Oh my God. Yeah. So New Hampshire is definitely like that. Closeted racist. They'll virtue signal all fucking day long. So I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from Falmouth, the armpit of Cape Cod. And, a huge Portuguese community, huge Cape Verde community. If you don't know what Cape Verdean is, it's African mixed with Portuguese. I grew up with half my school was Cape Verde. So we had that was the best part, was when I went to school in New Hampshire at UNH. Everyone's like, oh, you have a Cape house? Like, no, I'm part of the poor people that live there. And, you're from Cape, so that's like white as fuck. It's like, nope. A lot of my friends are Cape Verde. A lot of my friends are black. A lot of my friends are Asian. It is a mixed population of people, especially being a Portuguese person and growing up in the Portuguese community, as well as New Bedford and all that shit, New Beige, and the Cape Verdeans, because you're half of, I'm half. I'm white because I'm Portuguese. Because I guess conquistadors are olive skin tone and our hair qualify as white, but I'm 100% white, but being half of what Cape Verdean kids are, you get along with them really well because you're Portuguese, you know some Portuguese, and that's life, dude. It's fucking cool as fuck. I loved where I grew up. High school was cool as fuck. It was a very mixed community. Everyone got along, and there was no like huge animosity other than girls and boys with girls. And but it's one of those huge misconceptions of Cape Cod is, oh, as Cape, it's white, you're white as fuck. And it's like, no, actually, we had a very mixed community, and I'm colorblind. I don't give a fuck who you are as long as you're nice to me. But Vermont, though, is a fucking culture shock for white people outside of Vermont.
Yeah. Well, for everyone outside of Vermont, but especially, yeah. I think like it's one of the places where it's actually like a white ethno state, and like people don't even realize that. Yeah, it's like the whitest state in the whole country, and yet it's always like super liberal. Yay, like we care, and it's like, man, I don't know.
It's like the Babylon Bee meme. You might have seen it recently. It was a Black Lives Matter sign in white lettering, black background, and a white background, black lettering, Black Lives Matter sign. And it was like two Vermont neighbors refusing to take down their BLM sign before the other one because they don't want to be called racist by the other one. And like you get that in New Hampshire too. Like I live near Concord, and if sometimes I drive through Deerfield and there's these two houses that both have BLM signs still out in front of them to this day, and they're farms but don't actually have farm animals on them, and you know those motherfuckers like, oh, we're waiting for Susie to take her fucking BLM sign down, so we're not the asshole. It's like, there's no black people in your town. Why the fuck are you virtue signaling each other from across the street? Like, okay, cool. I'm glad this makes you feel better about your whiteness, but like, you can also just be a normal human being and be nice to people. Like, you don't need to prove it to your neighbor with a sign.
Yeah, like that.
And that's all of Vermont.
Yeah. So I think it's clear Vermont has some work to do on that front, and it's funny because.
But they're not racist.
Yeah. I think rural Vermont is a little different, but I mean, it's interesting because like Republican governor is usually elected rather than Democrat in Vermont. It's like every governor for the past 10 years has been Republican, I think. But I think there is a good amount of, I mean, and I hate both sides.
Fuck politicians.
Yeah, fuck politicians. I dislike them equally as far as parties go, but I think it's Vermont has some work to do, and I think that there's actually been some, I don't know, we'll see. Every time I go back, it's I hear more stuff happening in Burlington, like stabbings and shootings and stuff, but we'll see what happens. Vermont, I think, needs a little bit of a wake-up call, but it'll come eventually. It is a beautiful state, though, and I do love visiting, going back and like hiking and getting out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's a great place to do that, and I mean, parts of New Hampshire, absolutely too. Maine, that whole New England vibe. I don't vibe as much with the South. I do, obviously. I love Mass, and that's a beautiful part of the country. The Cape.
Western Mass is beautiful. Fuck the rest of it.
But I mean, there's beauty, but like Connecticut, Rhode Island, meh,
flat, boring, and heroin riddled.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna stop this recording and start a new one. All right. So you're an artist.
Yes.
Talk about what music you like, what music genres you like. We get it. You like EDM, like some your beat production's cool. It's rad. Let's hear about your influences in music, and you kind of seem like one of those dudes that is well-rounded. Like you could listen, but I'm not vibing country from you, and I'm not a country dude. And you're from the Northeast, so country is definitely not in your repertoire, but I'm sure you like a lot of different stuff. Just
well, you're probably correct about the country stuff. I it wasn't part of my culture growing up really, and I didn't gravitate towards that. I definitely gravitated towards hip hop and rap, and from a very young age, that was what I listened to, and that was what I got into, and that was what I look. I just loved the way that the rhythm and the bass hit the was just something that I just was really intrigued by.
What age and what song first dragged you into rap? Because I want to see if we're on the same page. Because I know the exact moment that hip hop changed my life.
I mean, for me it was a lot of the stuff in the late 90s, coming from like Biggie, and like Tupac, and I mean, Wu-Tang I didn't get into until I was a little bit older,
What age? Sorry.
like until I was like in my teens, like until I was maybe like 14,
Little.
15.
Okay. You're a year behind me, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but I was the first the first huge rap the first rap song that I remember like loving was that song, Mo Money Mo Problems by Biggie. And that was, I know, after his like big first album and stuff, but that song was so dope. And then I got really into the Jay-Z and the production behind Jay-Z, which was Kanye. And Kanye, people don't realize how influential he was from the very beginning. And then in like the late 90s, he was making amazing production for Jay-Z and other artists. But Jay-Z, I mean, H to the Izzo, beats like, I mean, the one that he did with Talib Kweli, that was in the early 2000s, Just to Get By, the Nina Simone sample. I mean, soul music. I love oldies. I love soul music. I love like kind of like obscure soldies. Like if you just
Okay.
type in soldies on YouTube, you'll find some really like weird old 60s soul songs that are like kind of like had a lot of their culture in like the or a lot of surrounded like the lowriders, that they'd be rolling through. It was a kind of like Chicano culture, the lowriders and shit, and like
Okay.
soul music. Love that shit so
It
much.
doesn't exist in Vermont, guys.
Doesn't exist in Vermont. Don't know how that I made my way around to that, but
It's a very inviting culture, and they're very God, Chicano and lowrider culture is really fucking cool. And if you get into talking with someone Chicano and lowrider, they like want you to be part of it. It's fucking kind of cool.
for sure, man.
So hip hop, I do want to share my experience. I was watching MTV, and it was Nas One Mic.
Wow, yeah. No.
Fuck Jay-Z. Anyway, Nas One Mic, and as the evolution of the video transpires, it goes from Nas rapping to a riot in the streets for rights. And dude, that whole scene where he becomes like a fucking warrior in the streets and shit, and I was just like, yo, rap isn't about big booty hoes and stupid fucking lyrics. Like that music video to me was like powerful. It was expressing rights and opinion in a music video. It wasn't like Peaches and Cream by whatever 12 that they were, and like pussies are like fucking peaches and cream. Yeah. Nas was like a fucking soldier, and he was just trying to express himself. And that was where I went from, like, I was in the hardcore community at the time at 12, and I went to my first shows and shit and got my face fucked up and knocked out by a 31-year-old. And then I saw like One Mic, and I was like, holy fuck. And like I liked Wu-Tang, but the problem was the people that gate kept Wu-Tang from me as a younger person were the same people listening to like Limp Bizkit and Insane Clown Posse. And they were gatekeeping Wu-Tang for me, and Wu-Tang for me was like, oh man, Wu-Tang's cool as fuck. Nas is rad. That's New York rap.
Oh, yeah.
But all these fucking douchebag kids wearing Jinko jeans and soaps soap shoes where they can grind like fucking coping at the fucking playground. You know, and I would this one kid would call everyone a masturbator, and I didn't even know what that meant, but I was a masturbator apparently, according to him. And he listened to ICP and all the stupid dumpster fucking music, and I was like, yo, like Wu-Tang's cool as fuck, but why do these dudes listen to it? Like what they're singing, like what they're rapping about, these kids fucking don't give a fuck about. And I would get bullied because I listened to like Led Zeppelin, The Who, Jethro Tull or whatever. And then the funny thing is, all those dudes that made fun of me for liking that and hip hop, I bumped into one of the guys at the bar 10 years ago. He had a Fish shirt on. He was fucking blitz out of his mind, stoned, probably on mushrooms. And he's just like, yo, Fish, dude. And I was like, yo, Jason, you fucking used to torture me to the point of potential suicide as a kid because I liked that music. He's like, oh, I fucked up, dude. I was a horrible person back then. I shouldn't have bullied you. Like, that's all I'm about now is this vibe. And I'm just like, man.
Wow. Well, it took him that long to get to the place where you were at, like when you were a kid.
As a child.
Yeah.
Like, my mom took me to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers when I was 8. I saw The Who when I was 9.
That's epic, dude.
It was cool as fuck, dude. But music has been like my life, and now I'm kind of an elitist. But dude, fuck Jay-Z. Hey, can I? I'm gonna name drop someone real quick in the gun community. Do you like Dipset?
Of course.
Okay, Joel Santana.
Yep.
Okay. GS Weapons on Instagram. Homie from Philly. Rick Nice. The greatest of the greats. He's a big MCX nerd. Loves guns, loves nods. He shoots all the fucking videography for like Slay Raider. He did like GBRS group and stuff.
Nice.
Rick. Slick Rick Nice used to write beats for Joel Santana when he was a fucking teen.
Wow. Like lyrics?
Like beats.
Oh,
he was like the Kanye of like Dipset. And wow. Rick Nice, he showed me this video. And there's this video of him. There's this young little black kid hiding in the background in Joel Santana studio. And he's wearing the striped polo. And he showed me this video. He's like, that's me when I was like 15 selling beats to Joel Santana. I was like, no fucking way, dude. And I was introduced to him like 3 or 4 years ago. And he's like, yeah, dude, I do videography for all these major artists. I used to write beats. And now I'm into guns.
What?
Teach me the ways. GS Weapons on Instagram. And in his like gun page is High End Pew, all one word. Rick and Sean and Slim, they're the best fucking people. Just hip hop dorks from Philly that love 300 Blackout. And Rick will put stuff up on his Instagram while he's hopping on a fucking Learjet to go to Jamaica to do a fucking video. He does Kanye. He films like lifestyle videos for Kanye, and he's like homies with Future and all the shit. And he's just such a fucking cool dude and such a good friend. He stays at my house when he can, and we just go off and fuck about. It was great. I was the first person in the gun industry to have a video produced by Rick. And, and then after that, Colin Noir and GBRS, Slade, all these people are reaching out to him to do videography. And because he's bridging that gap between hip hop and gun culture. And he does it so beautifully and so artistically. And he's a fucking rad dude.
That's awesome, man. I just checked him. I just followed him on Instagram.
Yeah, talk to Rick is a dork. In a good way. Like, I like one time his fucking chick drove him all the way to Philly one night to my house in New Hampshire, and we got to meet his chick, and she's like, all right, I'm driving back to Philly. And we're like, what? It was a snowstorm event, and he had to come that weekend, and she's like, fuck it, I'll drive him. We're not gonna fucking die. He's family, dude. He's family. and he needs to meet my son because he's fuck you, Rick. Come visit. Dude, the coolest people. I love this industry and how strange it is and how many cultures and backgrounds and people and mentalities that it bridges, because like your personal freedoms doesn't matter. People from all walks of life want personal freedom. And you're all about doing it on your own.
Indeed.
What else? What else for music, dude? What influences you now in music? What is you like? What do you love? Like right now, if you could fucking name the first artist, band, genre off the top of your head, what is on your Spotify playlist?
Well, I love what I don't know if you've heard of this artist, Arca.
No.
Arca makes some crazy shit. She makes some crazy
Electronic
production. I guess it's like electronic, really wild production, incredible vocal production. Love seeing her live. Love, I mean, as far as just like influences go, I mean, I love weird underground, like hyperpop shit, like this dude Meat Computer. It's pretty sick.
Meat
Computer, yeah. I like I listen to Yeet. Definitely into the newer rap shit as well.
Hold up. Yeet?
Yeah.
Yeet.
I listen to Yeet. I think the beats are so hard.
Yeet. Have you seen Channel 5 News on Yeet?
Yeah. I don't care. I like the music. I'm not ashamed to say I like the
He
music.
wants to eat cereal 12 times a day.
That man wants to eat.
So what about Yeet music that like speaks to you? The beats are hard.
It's really just the energy. Am I holding on to every word that I can barely understand? I mean, some of it's honestly comical in the same way that the cereal line is kind of funny. It's like has an element of absurdity to it with like all of the bells, and it's a little over the top, and in the way his voice sounds is pretty insane. Like he has this really like
So much autotune.
He can go really low, and so he's like I actually saw him in LA one time. And
I'm blown away right now.
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
Yeah. But I love the production. There's this producer that works with Yeet that's really talented. He
Who?
Goes by Tragic. Tragic made that. He did like the biggest song that Yeet has, like that "Sorry About That" song, and he's really talented. He's from Atlanta.
He's probably more talented than Yeet.
I mean, I love the production. I think that's what makes the music when
it has to be. It has to be production. How much is playback and live?
I mean, we're talking about like producers like RZA, Pete Rock. Well, Pete Rock did both, but like, I mean, Prodigy from Mobb Deep.
Okay.
I mean, like,
yeah, but these are like so iconic. Like, not Yeet.
No, I'm talking about like every great.
Okay.
Rap like has like a great producer involved, and I think Tragic is a great producer. I think Dylan Brady's a great producer. I like
absolutely.
Dylan's cool. I know him.
That's cool.
He's dope. I think like, yeah. Let's see. Who else could I say I really fuck with?
Like Juice WRLD.
I definitely I never was like super into Juice WRLD.
You like Yeet.
I mean, no, I mean, like you're talking about like who right now? Like
I know. I can't unfucking think Yeet. I'm sorry,
dude. I
tried so hard. I tried after seeing it. I tried so hard. I listened to 3 of his albums.
People our age don't like Yeet, and I'm okay with that. But I like Yeet. I like listening to Yeet. I like listening to his boy Can as well, and I listen to This dude from New York, Real Young Phil, is hard. His producer, Evil Gianni, is really sick.
I heard Evil Gianni is pretty fucking sick. I have heard that.
Yeah, Evil Gianni his shit goes hard. I like Baby Sosa. She's sick.
She's different, but cool.
Yeah, I like Baby Sosa a lot. I like. I'm surprised you know of some of these people. That's dope.
Dude, I'm a nerd. Honestly, I will get lost in SoundCloud into some weird shit and find out. Dude, I'm gonna do a shout out, right? Max Lord. I know you don't like Juice WRLD, or might not care for Juice WRLD. Max Lord, the sound engineer, Grammy winner, dude, huge gun dude, fucking rad motherfucker. And I'm getting DMs from blue check marks from all kinds of gentlemen and females that are up and coming in the LA scene, and Max is doing their sound engineering, and that dude loves guns, and he's getting all of his homies fucking equipped, and it's tight. It's really tight. Yeah, Max is cool as fuck. And it's funny, I get these random messages from blue check marks being like, yo, Max sent me, like, I need this, like, what should I buy or whatever. And I'm just like, what the fuck, Max? Or like Max put me on his like secret friends list on Instagram, and I'm getting like fucking pings for LA Hollywood parties, like, hey, yo, just name drop so and so at this fucking address and you'll get into our exclusive party. And I'm like, yo, I'm out on the East Coast like a kid, I ain't coming to this shit. Like, why am I on your super secret friends list? Like, I appreciate you, you're a cool dude, and I love what you like. I like Juice. I liked a little bit of Juice. I like the album that Max produced. I like Chicago hip hop, Sosa, fucking. But I'm an East Coast dude. Like West Coast shit, I'm okay with. Like Nip was like my favorite West Coast stuff. Like more mainstream, more modern. But dude, I'm like AZ, Nas, like Big L, like East Coast, Brooklyn, Queensbridge. I have a Jedi Mind Tricks, obsessed with Jedi Mind, and Jedi Mind was like the first like Murs, Jedi Mind, Slug,
Vinny Piss. Yeah,
fucking Vinny Piss. That whole, like listening to a Terror album and having Murs hop on for a guest track, or POS, like Detroit. You ever listen to POS?
I remember Army of the Pharaohs. That was POS. What was POS? Did that stand?
No. POS was part of Rhymesayers with like Slug, Atmosphere.
I know all those guys, but
what was
remember Reef the Lost Cause?
Yeah, Reef was good. What was the other? Sage Francis was on Rhymesayers. Yep. His 9/11 one that he came out with right after 9/11 was really, really good. I've seen Slug, Atmosphere, actually.
The Rugged Man.
Yep. Yeah. R.A. the Rugged Man.
Who else? I'm trying to think. Well, Cage. Remember Cage?
Yes, Cage. Sean Price. Dude, R.I.P. Dude, legend. He died of a heart attack 3 years ago.
Brownsville legend, dude.
Dude, Sean P.
was a music video for Styles P one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Random story. Yeah.
Just Allah, aka Megatron. That's hard. Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Black Star, Gangstar.
Swollen Members.
Yep, Swollen Members, Cunning Linguists.
Yes, Cunning Linguists. Yes.
I mean,
wow, that brings me
so
back.
I gotta send you our ANR design playlist, because I have probably the most comprehensive OG hip hop list ever compiled.
I like that.
I spent like 7 weeks, at least 3 hours a day, going through old albums, like CD drawers, all kinds of shit, compiling the most comprehensive hip hop list that I thought that was influential. And it's very original. It's very OG.
I can't.
Hieroglyphics, like like Onyx, like murder rap, proper, like My favorite's like when you put onyx on a fucking reel and people like have no idea. They're just like, what the fuck is this?
Dude, who was the group that Sean Price was in before he was Sean P? He was in a duo, and it was an incredible duo. And it was a group, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was early Sean P. Um, oh my God, I gotta find this. It's at the tip of my tongue right now. Hold on. But yeah, Sean Price. I had a friend who also did music videos, who I did that Styles P video with, that also did videos with Sean Price. And I remember like one time he like showed this piece of art that was like one of his friends, my friend's friends had made of Sean P. And then my friend showed it to Sean P. And he like looked at it and he just shook his head, and then my friend didn't say anything. And my friend, oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Let me find this. Sean Price.
Look it up. Ghostface played my college. It was $1, right? You're a student, it's $1. And this 18-year-old girl gets up on stage and she's like trying to twerk on Ghostface, and he slaps that hoe off the stage and he's like, bitch, I got kids older than you, which I thought was like so admirable that Ghostface didn't try to fuck 18-year-old girls. And then Snoop Dogg ended up fucking a just turned 18 girl from my dorm and took her back to the hotel that he rented out the whole thing at. And that's when he had his family values show on VH1, where it was all about his family. And he's cheating on his wife and his kids with this fucking 18-year-old girls at every fucking school. Right. Like, Snoop Dogg, I love you, but you're a fucking pedophile. Thought that was kind of funny. I remember her getting dropped off in the morning with 3 Escalades, and she's wearing the jersey that he wore the night on the show. Like, yo, that girl just turned 18 like 4 days ago, bro. Hey. What the fuck?
Helter Skelter is the name of the group.
Oh my God, yes, okay. Helter Skelter is not that unheard of.
No, I know, but it's Sean P. before he was Sean P. It's Ruck and Rock.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great group.
Can't believe it. You got that quick though. Like, hopped on that, figured it out. Thank God for the internet sometimes.
Yeah, man. Shit. Well, we got a lot of music taste in common, my man. I'm not as much into the hardcore shit, so I can't go hand in hand. I can't go fire it back with the hardcore bands.
No, it's cool, dude. I had a lot of friends that had shitty dads, so I kind of fucking fell into that genre. I have great parents, but the distraught friends of mine were into it, and after getting fucking rocked in the adrenaline rush and being straight, I was straight edge for a long time. But when you realize you're straight edge and you get into fights to get, yours, you realize you're not straight edge. You're living off of endorphins from fighting.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a hypocrite if you're straight edge and you still go to shows.
It's a form of high for sure.
But it was cool because, like, Jedi mind tricks, you got like Vinny Paz would wear like Trapped Under Ice shirts on stage. You get like the hardcore dudes. So the cool thing about the hardcore community, especially a lot of the MC Baltimore, Brooklyn style shit, is you'd get those parallels. Even LA, Murs and Terror.
Mm-hmm.
Murs, great MC, but you would have Terror finish albums. Cold World, the hardcore band, a lot of their lyrics were Wu-Tang, right? And then they would lead into hip hop, bits. Casey Jones, same deal. So I love the parallels between the hardcore community and the hip hop community, and I made a lot of friends from super urban neighborhoods in the most strangest of places that are hardcore dudes but hip hop dudes, and it was one of those communities that like no one gave a fuck what race, gender, creed you were. If you could fucking destroy human beings' life in a pit and still get up and fucking hug it out, you're a good dude. Like I went to shows with this dude named Vegan Keegan, gay dude, super flamboyant boyfriend. But I watched that dude almost kill like 7 people. I mean, I watched him
believe it.
just beat people to death with steel chairs because someone accidentally booked a racist neo-Nazi band and they were like, yo, fuck these, you know, if you're gay or a Jew, get the fuck out. Like, we don't want you here. Like, no, who the fuck booked this dude? All right, we're going to kill him. And then, like, my buddy's girlfriend busts out brass knuckles and knock out the bassist. And they're using the bass guitar to beat everyone else. Like, and it was like, yo, if you're just here to get hurt, have fun. And then it was funny because, like, the cool down after a hardcore show is hip hop. Go to the parking lot and blast hip hop.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, so this is like way more relaxing. Where like, it's your cool down routine. No, that's fucking cool, dude. Style P, that's rad.
Yeah.
This is shit that people don't know about. That's great. It's great.
Yeah, brand new, and you learn something new about.
What else? What else is new that is okay to talk about? Like, what else about your character that's okay to talk about?
Well, I mean, I just, man, I think I like to push the boundaries when it comes to just like sometimes, you know, saying funny shit and making people uncomfortable if I have like my shirt off or something. And like, there's a lot of just like, there's a lot of toxic, like very like machismo, not willing to admit that like maybe like there's a lot of dudes out there that are uncomfortable with their own sexuality. And like, if I take my shirt off, sometimes they'll just leave comments like, oh, this is gay. And it's like, well, a grown man with his shirt off, like, doesn't necessarily mean gay, but you're making it that way. So you've now admitted that maybe you have some homosexual thoughts, which is totally cool. I have no problem with that. And like, I'm very comfortable with my sexuality, but I don't think it should be considered gay if some man, you know, is shirtless or wearing a tank top while shooting guns. Like, but if you want to make it that way, like you can. But I just think I try to like just have fun and be stupid, but also it's fucking hot where I'm at. And I legit, like I'm wearing a mask in the middle and when it's like 98 degrees and like 90% humidity. So fuck all of those people who are like, when are you going to put a shirt on? And it's like, well, I don't know if you're like just insecure about something or you're, sorry, I just heard something. Yeah, but like, but you know, you don't have to be shy, man. Just come out here and say it. You know, I am attracted to men and I think you're attractive. That's fine.
That's tight, dude. We've geolocated you. You're in the Gulf. I actually don't know where PSR's from, but he said 90% humidity and he wears a mask, and some of the ranges he's shooting at, the vegetation I've already ID'd. So I know what part of the Gulf you're in.
Maybe I was exaggerating the humidity.
Okay, all right, chill, guys. He's like almost near the Gulf. So my wife the other day, she's like, I'm glad you like to live in the woods, Alex. I'm happy that you like to go out and kill shit with other men and just disappear for a few days and not talk to me. And my only communication with you is a sat phone. And I was like, why is that? Like, why? I thought you always want to like be in contact or whatever. And she's like, no, I read an article that the reason why the pacification of men has existed is not enough men just disappear in the woods together and just do dumb shit. And I appreciated that. I appreciate my wife saying that to me. She's like, no, granted, we talked about I mentioned Channel 5 earlier with Yeet, and he interviewed a guy who was like, we need to be all nude in the woods with other men, and it's not gay, no erections, but it rejuvenates your sexual libido and like whatever. But I do think that I started hunting 5 years ago, and I don't do it for sport. I don't appreciate killing things. Don't like killing things, but I do like exercising my capabilities and taking all that knowledge from shooting and taking all that knowledge from night vision and thermal and all that stuff and applying it to, I'm not gonna lie, I love fucking killing pigs in Texas. Like, I love just destroying whole herds of something that's human created, that is an invasive, that's destroying native species. I hunt people pheasant hunt, right? In the United States, pheasant is an invasive species. It was brought to the Americas by China in 1887-ish as a sport game bird. So it's an invasive species. I shot an oryx in New Mexico. That's an African plain species that was introduced to New Mexico on white sands in 1967. And now it's a normal species. Axis from India, chital, that's an invasive species in central Texas. I love fucking killing animals that don't belong here. And it does, I feel a lot less bad eating fucking the Ferraris of animals meat and being able to take as many as I can in a week and eating very affordably for the rest of the year off of non-native species. But I do hunt native species. I have a bird dog. I enjoy hunting. I enjoy watching a dog work because every species of dog exists to hunt something else. And watching, you know, the basic human biology and science of manipulating species of dog to apply to different animals to keep us fed. Watching dogs work is more important to me than killing things. But I do enjoy hunting and exercising everything that I put on a flat range or long gun into a perspective where I'm like, oh, I'm feeding my family and it's not full of bullshit. You know, even down to my baby's formula, like we had our child at the beginning of the formula shortage and we were stockpiling American formula and we started reading it's like soy and high fructose corn syrup. It's like giving your kids Doritos, dude. It's fucking hard. Why would you feed your kids liquid diarrhea? Yeah, that works. Liquid Doritos to an infant. Like it's fucking asinine. So we've been getting our stuff from UK from a Euro brand, and there's none of that. Their restrictions on formula are like 10 times more stringent than the FDA. Okay. And even down to, we have something called a baby Bretza. And it's like a Keurig for children's formula, infant formula. And you put the bottle under, you set your settings, and you fucking hit go. It's fucking super convenient. It's amazing. But there's this aerosolizing nozzle. And when you use US formula, the crystals after 2 bottles of formula are so hard that you have to soak it in boiling water to dissolve the crystals. Whereas the EU stuff that we're getting, literally you can wipe it out with your finger without any hot water. Wow. And that's just a visible 2-bottle testament to how little sugar is in the real stuff. And the other thing is you taste the US formula and it tastes like a roll of nickels in your mouth. It fucking tastes horrible. And you're like, if there's this much sugar in it, why does it taste like shit, right? And then you taste the Euro formula and it's like, it tastes like breast milk. Like you probably never tasted breast milk. You taste breast milk when you're a dad, right? You're like, you accidentally get some spit up in your mouth or whatever. You're like, wow, it's like lightly dissolved honey and cream, right? Oh, nice. Breast milk tastes pretty fucking good, and it's something you're like, I couldn't drink a whole cup of, but like a lick of it here or there, you're like, all right, this is going in my child's body. This is okay. And then the EU baby formula tastes almost identical to human beings' breast milk. And you're like, oh my God, I'm way happier feeding this to my child than this bullshit. And even if you start reading into the ingredients of like children's formula in the United States, there's a wean off period. You have to start diluting it and breaking it down and breaking it up with solid foods. Because if you cut cold turkey with US formula, your kids have a fixation on it. Yeah. And it's fucked, dude. It's creating the government.
Obese people because it's just sugar and it's just starting you off with that addiction.
It's indoctrinating infants into high fructose corn syrup and soy. And the thing is, even if you select a non-soy mixture, there's still a soy ingredient on the ingredients list because they have 4 different options of sweetener and it depends on what's available at the time. So you can't avoid soy in it.
Damn.
It's fucked up. And my wife during pregnancy and the first 3 months of breastfeeding, we were on a wild game diet only and our fucking kid is a monster.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So sorry for that whole thing, but I figured since we're talking about 3D printing and diverting government, you can get foreign formula from a company called Formuland.com online, and you can select what country you actually buy your formula from in different stages, and that's the way to go. And it was the US was actually blocking import from certain countries, but certain countries didn't get blocked for formula, so we were getting that shit the whole time.
Sick. No more bags of nickels. You heard that from the source.
No more bags of nickels and corn syrup.
Yeah, that's a very visceral description of the taste of a thing in one's mouth is a bag of nickels. I think I got it now.
And how do kids like that though? I don't get it. Like in infants, taste buds have not developed, so they'll chug whatever you put in their mouth, which is fucked up.
Exactly. So that's definitely on the parents. Yeah, man. Well, thanks for that tidbit.
Yeah, I had a few beers tonight. Sorry, guys. I've ranted about shit that might not matter to most people listening to this podcast.
If you ever wanted to know what breast milk tastes like honey and sweet cream or something like that?
Something like that. It just tastes natural.
Yes, and more power to the natural ones.
You're probably like, I'm not having any alcohol tonight, and Alex has been drinking, and now we're spiraling amongst dumb shit. But
okay, I'm enjoying it, man.
I hope so. I hope you're having fun.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
So this has been going on long enough for an episode 1.
Sick.
I'm happy. I had a great time with you. I definitely want to get together offline and spit music at each other.
Taking the mask off after we stop recording.
Cool. So any last words? any final comments to viewers? We didn't touch on it earlier. PSR mentioned Control Pew. We just want to elaborate that Control Pew is CTLR, like your button on your keyboard, not Control.
CTRL.
That's it. See, beer, alcohol.
Yes, it's www.ctrlpew, PEW. It's the guide. Sorry, www.theguide.controlpew.com, and that's CTRLPEW.com, and it is all a giant getting started guide. That is where you should start. So that is the starting point if you want to get into the hobby and you've never done it before. Getting into 3D printing is not as intimidating or as hard as you think it is. You just gotta check out the guide and you will have a lot of fun, whether you're printing guns or toys for your kids, or maybe someday breast milk. It's a great hobby to get into, and I suggest that you give it a shot. And hey, at the very least, if you just want to check out my videos just to get an idea of what you can build, that is awesome. My YouTube is Print Shoot Repeat, and Instagram at Print Shoot Repeat, and on Twitter I am Printing Guns. And thank you so much again, Alex, for having me. It's been a joy to riff back and forth, and we went on many tangents which were really fun, and I love that, and I'm just happy to be a guest, so thank you.
Awesome. 2 more questions, quick answers. What's your favorite low entry printer and your favorite low entry medium to print in for those getting into it? Now I know they need to go to the guide at Control Pew, but a lot of people will knee-jerk buy something and buy some sort of printable material before even reading a guide, because this is America. Everyone knee-jerk reactions, everything. Yep. What should they look for in a printer, and what should they look for to a PLA style material?
Yeah. Okay. So the best option, in my opinion, best bang for your buck, while not being the complete low bar, most cheap printer, is going to be the Creality Ender 3 or Ender 3 V2. The Ender 3 V2 is around $260. The Ender 3 is around $180. I would say just spend the extra 80 or so bucks to get that V2, because it's got a couple extra features. Got a big screen. It's got some little small features that make it a little bit easier to work with. So the Ender 3 V2, it's around $260. Sometimes it's on sale for less. That is what I would recommend for a printer. And if you want to spend a little bit more money, the Ender 5 is good. And then the Creality Ender series are really great because it's just like the predominantly used printer. So there's a lot of parts out there, just like a Glock 19. It's very, very upgradable and very supported by the community in terms of just mods. You can even 3D print your own mods for the printer itself, which is pretty cool. So it can upgrade itself once you get it. Now, as far as materials go, the material we use is called PLA Plus or PLA Pro. It's just a slightly more rigid or enhanced toughness PLA, which is polylactic acid. I would recommend using that because that's what all of the designs are tested on right now. You can get more into heavier materials like nylon that are often way harder to print and can result in some frustrating warping and stuff. So I would recommend PLA Plus. My favorite company is Polymaker. They support the creators and the developers. They're a really great asset for the community, and they make great filament, and they make like OD green and tan and stuff, so you can get your tactical colors if that's your thing. They also make like pink and random, crazy neon colors too. So check out Polymaker, PLA Pro, or Polylite PLA Pro is the way to go, and that rhymes. So thanks.
And you are a music maker and a rhyme sayer. Dude, thank you so much for being a part of this. I know you're busy, and congrats to all of your YouTube growth successes. I think I looked at your Instagram profile like 2 weeks ago, and then I checked it today. I was like, oh, damn, motherfucker grew by 5K. So, dude, congrats on all of your successes, your personalities. Most people watching your profiles, I think you have a multiple personality disorder. Yes. But offline, guys, he's very squared away. It's all a persona because anonymity is very important. Even though everything that PSR is doing is legal, the government hates us for being individuals and having individuality and having freedoms. So
the government knows who I am, though. Just to make it clear.
I literally say fuck the ATF every day, but I have an FFL SOT. So it doesn't matter. We can't avoid them, but it's about the community behind it and that we're all standing together and we have our constitutional rights and we are all, as a population, with the 99th percentile of us, good law-abiding citizens. We just want to be left the fuck alone so we don't destroy your fucking world. We are exercising our rights. And the reason why I was so excited that PSR wanted to do this podcast is this is definitely one of the more, I don't want to say edgy because that sounds fucking boomer, but
okay. I get that phrase thrown at me.
It's one of the more enlightening podcasts that we get to do. And having this fine gentleman here is very important to us as a brand. We've historically worked with Paul Armady. We've helped Paul Armady with a lot of stuff, but the recent ruling is that that's not okay. So we need you guys to exercise your rights. And it's okay to exercise your rights. Don't feel that you're doing something wrong. No. Again, low barrier to entry.
Yes, and a little side tidbit on the Paul Armady situation. So now they've gone back to selling unserialized frames, so like unfinished frames, but they can't sell jigs with the frames. You know what might be able to be used to make a jig? A 3D printer. So, you put a barrier up and we'll find a way around it. And that's just the way it is. So another great reason to check out 3D printing.
Yes, and 3D scanners are also very available, very cheap. And anyway, long story short, guys, do not be afraid of 3D print. It's okay. Just remember that you can't distribute them to, obviously, look up your rights and look up what you can.
Legally speaking, you can do it. I mean, you can break the law, not suggesting that you do, but legally speaking, yeah, you want to just make things for yourself.
And you'll never bump into an ATF agent that will realize that your 14.5 inch non-pin and welded SBR is an SBR. So with that being said, conclusion to this wonderful podcast. PSR, thank you so much for joining us. You're a fucking rad dude. I love the hip hop element. I love what you do. And it's been an absolute honor to have you. So this has been episode 25 of the ANR Design Unholstered podcast. Fucking listen to it. Hopefully people get to the end. Hey, we put in some time today. So anyway,
draw me like one of your French girls.
Jack.